I'm back. I'm gonna make a channel reboot video and kind of talk about some updates that I want to make with this channel and my return to YouTube in a sense. But we can't talk about that in this video because this video, we gotta get down to business. I don't know if you guys know, but there is this amazing readathon called the Magical Readathon that was started by a YouTuber who goes by G. Her channel is called Book Roast, and she used to do the they used to be very like Harry Potter themed readathons, but recently they've been adapting to this own universe that is completely of her own creation, which is so exciting, and I have been dying to do it. The problem is I'm behind by like a good year and a half, and the readathon that she's making are wonderful and so exciting, but they're also very complex and they build off of each other. So I have to catch up because I am very late for school. So I decided, what better way to do this than to find other fellow delinquents and do it together. So in a way, this is kind of a readathon announcement, though I do feel kind of weird about calling it that because it's not my original readathon or anything. It's definitely Book Roast Readathon. All the material and content is of her creation. I'm just kind of taking a couple of the components and smashing them together to make like a starter kit of sorts for the Magical Readathon in case there's anyone else out there who is similarly behind and wants to find a good place to start and launch in so that we can all catch up with the rest of the class and be good A+ students. I'll give a brief rundown of the Magical Readathon and the new world that Book Roast has created, but of course I'll link her video down below and you should definitely go and get it from the source because the way she explains it is going to be a lot more detailed and a lot more accurate than what I'm about to say. In essence, Book Roast has created this magical school called the Readathon Academy, which of course is opening its doors to all sorts of new magical students, and people are making their migration to this new school, or at least that's how it starts. Readathon Academy is going to be a 4-year school, and similar to her previous readathons that Book Roast has done, Readathon is going to be structured in a similar way in that each year builds off each other and you can reach higher and higher levels of academic success. In addition to this new school, there's also a whole bunch of world building. There's 4 different provinces, there's 6 different races, and in addition to the very first readathon called the Novice Path, there's also a lot of character creation that you can do to kind of pick your heritage and pick your province and pick your background and build up a really detailed story and character that you're going to be for the next 4 years at this magical academy. Which in some ways brings us to my tardiness. Just recently, they had the autumn equinox. Now, kind of as a preface for all of the readathons, you don't necessarily need to have like your character fully fleshed out in order to participate. I definitely could have jumped right in and done the autumn equinox if I wanted to, but the way I see it, like, what's the fun of doing it without a character? So I wanted to have a character, but of course, that means I have to start at the beginning, and I wanted to make my character and do the novice path and continue on and catch up like a good girl. In order to do that, I kind of mashed together some of the character creation prompts as well as some of the novice prompts to create this late for school magical readathon. Like I said at the beginning, the whole goal of this is just to create a starter kit for me so that, in the future readathons that Book Roast hosts, I will be able to jump right in and kind of be running with the rest of the class and participate in all the live streams and little guild competitions and whatnot. Again, not as though I couldn't have done that already, even without a character. Book Roast is very generous about it, and again, the whole goal is just to have fun and read. So definitely I could have participated, but, I want a character. Now, before I jump into any of the details about how I combine these different elements or any of the resources that I'll be using, I did want to talk a little bit about just the general timeline for this readathon. Of course, since all the materials and all the videos that people posted are open access, you can really just start this and do it whenever you want to. And that also applies for this supplementary readathon as well. You don't feel the need to do it with me. You can do it, whenever you want to. The resources that I have also made for this will also be just open access all the time. However, last year when they did the original Novice Path, that also took place in September. So I thought it'd be nice to have another September readathon, since it doesn't seem like Book Roast will be hosting another readathon during September now. So today is Wednesday. It is September 7th, which kind of means that I'm still starting late, even for my own video. So the timeline that I'm thinking for this Late for School readathon is to go from September 10th, which is the second Saturday in September, to the second Saturday in October, which is October 8th. So it would still be a month-long readathon, still mostly in September, though just offset just slightly. Again, this is just for kicks and giggles in case anyone wanted to join me, but of course, really there's no strict timeline for this. You can start and stop it whenever you would like to. Again, this is just a very cursory overlook of the readathon and all the different bits to it. I will leave more in-depth resources in the description box below, which all reference back to the original creator of it, which is the Book Roast, and her amazing channel. You should go watch it if you haven't already, because it's just beautiful. She does so much work, and she deserves all the support and all the subscribers. For now though, I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the resources that I'm using / made for this readathon, and go over my TBR, just for funsies. For this readathon, there are two main resources that I'm using to kind of structure or document this readathon. One of them is the story graph, and the other one is Notion. I am a Notionaholic. I put everything on Notion. It is just so satisfying. And so I'll walk you through what my Notion spread for the Magical Readathon looks like. I tried to make it so that I could use it for all of them, and then as I go, it can kind of be like a character sheet that becomes more and more complex, you know, as I add things and learn things about my character. So I'll show you that. And the other resource is Storygraph, which, if you haven't heard, is a Goodreads alternative that has no affiliation with Amazon, and it's a fantastic app, and just on the down low, it's just frankly better in all ways. This app has wonderful stats features, so you can see your reading broken down into all these different categories. It also has an amazing buddy read option that I have become addicted to, and I've kind of forced a lot of my friends to do with me now repeatedly, where you can each go through the book and make comments, but you know, comments are locked based on percentage of the book so that no one gets spoiled. You can all have your little tabs and comments on the book as you read through it. And even better, it also has this whole category built in just for reading challenges, where you can add reading challenges or participate in other readathons on there and check off prompts and everything. It's a dream. It's absolutely a dream. So first, I'll start with the resource that I've put on Storygraph, again, open access, and I want to start with it just because I think it covers a lot about just the readathon in general, as well as how I'm kind of structuring it. So what I did was I went ahead and made like a custom reading challenge. It's called the Late for School Magical Readathon, and you can find it just under the reading challenges. If you open it up on your mobile app, like if it's on your phone, you will go to the top right where you'll see like the settings button or the hamburger menu, I've also heard it called. You'll click on that, you'll go to reading challenges. At the top it'll say challenges, browse or archive, and you'll hit browse. Then you go to the search bar and you can just type in Late for School and it should pop up. If you're on your laptop, like I am, the startup menu will look a little bit differently. Hopefully my screen recording is working so that you can see it, and the desktop version has a lot of the categories just right across this home bar there, and so you can just click the reading challenges from there and immediately jump to it. Now of course I've already joined it, but again, just showing how you would find it. You would go to challenges, there's browse, click browse. You would go to Late for School, which I already kind of typed in, and then hit enter. And then the screen is going to load, and there it is, Late for School, hosted by me. So if you click on this, it gives you a couple different sections that break down both the original readathon and how it is traditionally done, as well as some of the adjustments that I've made for it, and a little bit about some of the additional aspects of the readathon that aren't included in this specific challenge, such as choosing the character traits. I'll just scroll through this really quickly. This would be how you would join the challenge. Again, if you're just looking at it, I've already joined, but otherwise it would say, join the challenge. And you would click it because you want to be friends with me, right? Right? Has a little welcome page. Again, just kind of disclaiming that all the content is hers. I'm just kind of fiddling with it because that's what I do. It talks about the two aspects to this challenge, which is the character creation and the novice path, and then just kind of breaks it down into the 4 prompts, or how you get the 4 prompts. The novice path technically only needs to accomplish 2 prompts to be completed, but since I'm trying to do both, create a character and complete the first thing at the same time, I've made the baseline for completing this challenge 4 prompts. So the first 2 prompts are just about making your character. The book roast has a whole brief history of Eldia, which is the world that the Aurelium Academy exists in. And that little pamphlet goes into detail about all the different provinces, as well as goes into detail about all the different races that you can be. Again, all that will be linked below because I'm not going to get into it here, but it looks fantastic and the art is amazing, so please go look at it. So the first prompt is you can pick your province. The second prompt is you can pick your heritage, and these are both required in order to complete the challenge. Now there's also a third prompt that also relates to character creation. This is in terms of, giving your character a background. Again, this is all content straight from the book roast. And this prompt is about deciding whether your character is a wildling or, more of an urban dweller. I've decided to make this prompt just like a bonus for the challenge, just because I feel like it's not strictly necessary in order to have like a fully developed character for some of the other ones. Knowing their province and knowing their heritage are definitely key factors of it, and the background can just be like a fun bonus. I'm definitely still planning to strive and get that one knocked off as well, but I didn't want to put any pressure on anyone to feel like they have to complete all the prompts that are listed here. So those 3 are the prompts that all concern character creation. The last 2 are about the novice path itself. As shown in some of the main material from Book Roast herself, and also talked a little bit about in the beginning of the reading challenge, the novice path is this journey that has 7 points across it before you reach Aurelium Academy itself. At 2 of these points along the map, there is a special occasion where your character has to demonstrate wit and strength and gumption. These 2 points along the path are your prompts, or these 2 locations would be where you would face that. How I've broken that down on this reading challenge on the story graph is I just kind of listed all the prompts and made it so it's occasion 1 and occasion 2. Of course, you don't have to do all the prompts, you only have to do 2. So I've made it so you can pick which one that you want to do without having to have maybe like 7 prompts in the story graph coding system or whatever. So for occasion 1, it lists all the prompts, and you can just add a book to that prompt and just know in your head which one it wants to fall under. Like, I want to do Tower of Rumination, so I just know in my head when I assigned books to occasion 1 that I was doing it for Tower of Rumination. And the same for the 5th prompt, which is again just occasion 2 along the path. So that's a little bit of how I've structured it on the story graph. There are a lot of amazing magical readathon resources on the story graph already. Someone's already created a novice path version, and they also have the spring and autumn equinoxes already loaded up there as well. I wanted to make mine a little bit differently though. Some of the ones that are already existing are set up in such a way that you have to complete all 7 prompts in order to meet that nice 100% completion, which is definitely a valid way to go about it if you want to try and accomplish all 7. But since I also wanted to make a character and do the novice path, I didn't want to put pressure on myself to read all 7, but I definitely wanted that nice sense of gratification, that hit of dopamine at having seen it all completed. That's why I restructured this one so that it is 4 prompts and you can complete all of them and get that serotonin, my friends. The second resource that I'll be using is Notion, so I'll just kind of walk you through my character quick sheet spread page that I have made, and also walk you through some of the books that I've chosen. So this is kind of the Notion/TBR section. The first thing that I have on my page is just this little toggle bar, which is I've called my character quick sheet. And this is where I'll just put some of the quick facts about the character as I continue to uncover them. So, my background is going to be a rural background, my race is a Skymourn, my province is Dark Meadow. These are things that I just kind of know off the bat because I've picked them. Other things like the guild and the conduit that I use will come out as I complete some of the future readathons, like the Gear Up readathon and maybe the Spring Equinox. But that just has that quick rundown on my character. I'll also put my character's name in there once I have that figured out. As for the main body of the page, this is where it gets fun, at least for me. So this is a board database, like a Kanban board, and how I've got it broken down is into two groups. The first group is the primary sorting group. This is going to sound like very technical, but I promise you it's not that hard. And that, of course, is just the not started, the in progress, and the done categories. The second group that I have structured this Kanban board in is by level. And I've associated those levels as, character levels or novice path levels, or autumn and spring equinox levels, which I don't really have anything for because I haven't done those yet. Within the character and novice path, I of course still have the not started, in progress, and done, which can show, which books I've started or finished or I'm still reading. Which brings us nicely to like the TBR section of the video. So the first thing that I knew for this readathon is that I wanted to try out one of the newer book roast exclusive heritage races that she had created for this world. And I think of those were mostly the Skymorn and the Iltyrian, which were the new custom races that Book Roast has made for this readathon. Of those, I decided I wanted to be the Skymorn because, being like a little wisp that decided to go to school is just an adorable backstory, right? The challenge for selecting Skymorn as a heritage is read one of the oldest books you own or have on your TBR. Now, this one is a prompt that I kind of tweaked a little bit just because instead of picking the oldest books that I own or have on my TBR, I picked the oldest book that I have on my currently reading list. I'm one of those people who is usually reading more than one book at a time, usually not less than like 4 to 6 books I'm reading at a time and kind of just juggling them. And there has been one book that has been on there for a long periodically time. I started it June 23rd of 2021. Yes. That is Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. I'm almost ashamed to say that I'm only like 150 pages, and again, I've been working on this one for over a year now. It's not that it's not a good book. I actually really enjoy it. It's just one of those books that's kind of hard to get back into after you put it down. Not even that it's complicated, it's just that you don't really feel like the impulse that, oh my gosh, I need to know what's going on or what's happening, because it's very epic in breadth and in saga-like. So there's a lot of points where it will seem like somewhat resolved, or it'll cross a milestone. You'll be like, yes, this is good. And then you put it down, and then 6 months later you haven't read any more of it because there's new shinies that you've been reading. That's me. The next prompt is the Dark Meadow province that I've picked. Now, this one was also one where I had to do a little bit of interpretation, if you will. The prompt for having the province of Dark Meadow is read a Dark Academia. I actually had to look up, specifically what Dark Academia meant for literature. I know there's definitely a prolific aesthetic behind it. You see it all over YouTube. Dark Academia outfits and so on. But I wasn't quite sure how that translated to books, which seems kind of silly to me, but I'm not sure why. As defined by Wikipedia, Dark Academia is a social media aesthetic concerned with higher education, writing, poetry, the arts, and classic Greek and Gothic architecture. The subculture is associated with ancient art and classic literature. So for books, I decided, I want to find something that's ancient and I want to find something that's a classic. Well, I have a lot of books in my collection that I've either inherited or gotten for free or have been passed down that are not typically things that I would, naturally read just because they're much older and more of aesthetic books. One of which is this really old copy of Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None. So this is what it looks like. Wow. I wish you could smell this because honestly, it smells amazing. But yeah. This one was published in 1940. So I'm not sure if it's the oldest book that I have on my shelves, but it's definitely up there. I figure that this could count as kind of that ancient classic literature category. So I have this one for my Dark Meadow prompt. Now, background was the bonus prompt again that I listed in the reading challenges, I've decided that I definitely want to still try and go for it because why not, right? So I've decided to go for the rural background. And for that one, that is a book that is set largely either in a forest or outside. I'm not sure if I have a book that's set largely outside that is like a fiction book, but I do have this selected essays collection from Mary Oliver that I got pretty recently that I've been dying to try. Nature, for anyone who doesn't know, is a very important topic for Mary Oliver, who is normally a poet, and these are some of her essays, not some of her poems. So I figured that this one, if not directly set in a forest or outside, will largely be about the forest and outside and just connecting with nature. Upstream by Mary Oliver is what I'll be using for the wildling background. Now, the last two books are for the Novice Path prompts. The first one that I selected is The Mist of Solitude. That's the occasion one that I've chosen. For The Mist of Solitude, it involves reading a standalone, and I picked I Love You, But I've Chosen the Darkness by Claire Gay Watkins. I was somewhat misled by this book when I was originally found it. It's something that I've been looking to read for a while, and I thought it was going to be more of like a fiction novel about a mother who's kind of quirky and kind of like having this existential crisis about entering motherhood. Now, I'm not sure if this is a bit of a confession, but I have already started it. And from what it seems less like, you know, your traditional contemporary novel and more like a autobiography of a sense. Claire Gay Watkins is the daughter of a member of the Charles Manson family, which, you know, imaginably has affected her life in a lot of ways. And she spends a lot of this book in a way kind of writing about her own experience, even if it does have some fictional elements in there as well. It seems almost more of a autobiography than like a novel in that sense, but still definitely standalone, fits the Mist of Solitude prompt. The second occasion I chose was Tower of Rumination, which the prompt for is a 5-star prediction. For that category, I've chosen A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. I'm sure the reputation for this book greatly precedes it, and I'm sure it's going to wreck me, but I'm also fairly sure that it's going to be a 5-star read. Again, I've also started this one. None of the ones that I've already started I'm really far into, which is why I feel like it's okay to do it for this readathon. Also, it's just for kicks and giggles. There's no harsh rules. I can do what I want. That is kind of a run through of my TBR, of how I have everything sorted out in Notion. I hope that I can continue to fill this out and just add in more and more detail as I participate in some of the other larger readathons. And that's also sharing a little bit about the Late for School Magical Readathon reading challenge that is available on Storygraph for you if you would so like. I will have all the original content and links to the amazing book roast in the description box down below, as well as links to the Google Drive and to the reading challenge on Storygraph. But yeah, I hope that was fun for you guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you will join me in this Late for School Magical Readathon so that we can all be late together. As far as, you know, the general direction of this channel as a whole, or the future of it, or where I've been or what I've been up to, if you're interested in that, I'll be making a channel reboot video that will come out later and kind of talk about, you know, some of the new videos I want to make, why I'm back now, and all that fun stuff. Other than that, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, and I hope to see you soon. Bye!